ladies and gentlemen, speaking of today's guest, super excited, Tamara Vermette. Really excited. I'll tee it up a little bit and then just dive in. But we're work neighbors, so I get to see you like I don't know, at all hours of the day, in and out. Sometimes we're both in good moods, sometimes both bad moods, sometimes one or the other. Like
Sure.
feel like I get to like see reality for you. But it's been cool, and one of the things I'm most excited to pick your brain about, and I'll do a little bit of a introduction for you. But for everybody listening, Tamara recently bought Star Liquor, and you had worked there before, and so I'm really excited to hear the story from going from employee to owner. But in addition to that, I mean, you're a community leader, you're a runner, you got a big race coming up on Saturday. So maybe we'll have some time to talk a little bit about running and business too. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see where it
There's
goes.
running involved in both.
Yeah. As we were just talking about how today's supposed to be a rest day and you've been unloading trucks of wine all day. So yeah.
Yes.
You get both worlds.
Yep.
Talk to me about, I want to hear about your journey at Star, if you don't mind, and maybe even from the beginning. Like how long had you worked there before ownership had even become, an idea?
An idea. I started working for Star probably, it's got to be 16 and a half years ago at this point. I started night crew. I was pushing the cooler. I did only night shifts. And my husband was working for one of the big distributors. So he was here all the time with Stan, the previous owner. And so when I was a stonemason, and obviously in the wintertime, you're not laying stone. So I had to find something else to do in the summertime. And I was worried that it was going to be too much Mike or too much Vermette at the time. Were we married? Yeah, we were married back then. And so I started at the bottom. I worked my way up. I ended up becoming the bookkeeper, which is weird to me because math is hard and I don't do it for fun like my husband does.
Books are the hardest part. I literally today had a call with my book. Don't even get me started about bookkeeping.
QuickBooks is for dummies, so I nail it.
I can't even handle QuickBooks.
I've got a lot of leeway on it. So I ended up becoming the bookkeeper, and I was always the trainer, and I did all the special orders, which a lot of that I still do. And then before COVID, we really started talking about, hey, this is something that we're both into, my husband and I, and that this was kind of the progression that we're leading to.
Who started the conversation, you guys or the previous owner?
The previous owner and basically my husband, Mike. And because Mike's been the operations manager forever, well, since he started here. I was there for 16 years. So he's been there for 14 before we took over. And
your marriage survived so far.
So far. It's not for everybody.
We'll talk about that too.
The building's big enough that I'm more of the back of the house. He's more of the front of the house. I have, when COVID hit, the numbers were crazy. And so obviously the owner was like, well, it's looking really good. And we're like, yeah, we're not paying you for this because it's not going to be worth this.
Right.
When everybody goes back to normal. And then he moved out of town 6 years ago. His wife actually moved 2 years before him because she was like, if you don't leave Durango, you're never going to stop working, which was true.
Yeah.
And so he eventually was like, okay. And then he moved 6 years ago. So we really started actively talking about it after COVID and after they had moved away.
And when he moved away, I'm curious because I just think it's interesting, like how the evolution would happen. At some point, you realized that the owner wasn't critical to operation, like to running the business. When he was still here, was he working full time, or were you guys running the show? We've been running the show for
We've been running the show for the past 10 years before we actually took over. And Stan's 81 now. Like obviously not everybody works that late.
Right.
And that's not our intention either. And so he was kind of backing away. And since we've been doing so much, like so many people just thought that we owned it anyway.
Right.
Because who wouldn't want somebody that's taking care of their business like it's their own if they're, across the country?
Yeah. Yeah. To just take it over.
Yeah.
So, okay. So 16 years, you've been running it without him really. So like, obviously I think the, transitioned somewhat
Probably the past 10, we've been running
natural.
it without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like, because obviously it's the first time you've ever bought a business.
For me, yes.
What? Oh, but not for your husband?
He actually had a business when outside of college, and he decided, he was like, I'm too young to have a mortgage, and so he went back to school, and
Right.
we met after that.
So, but it had been a while.
Yeah.
Because I think, and to prelude a little bit why I'm curious. So, I don't know if you know how much of my background you know, but I worked for Ballantine Communications for
Oh, I didn't
11
know that.
years and, or 10 years. And, I went to college for marketing. I competed in marketing in high school. Like marketing's been in my blood forever. Like it's like what I do.
Okay.
And, but then I built that agency and I was like, you know what? I think I could start my own. Like I could do this thing.
That's awesome.
And I was blindly naive about, like, it was one of those where I look back in hindsight and I'm like, man, I'm glad I had no idea how hard it would be.
Oh, sure.
Because I probably wouldn't have done it, you know, like I was just cluelessly thinking I'd just go start a business and, you know, money will flow in and clients will
People
flow
are just
in.
going to show up
Yeah,
if I unlock
like,
the doors.
It'll be easy.
Yeah.
And, you know, my learning curve, what I'm curious about is on your side too, because I've always been really good at marketing, but business ownership, that learning curve has been vertical for me. Like not just steep, but vertical, like all
Sure.
the legal stuff and hiring and firing and personnel and payroll, like all these other things that I never even thought about. So I'm curious because if you had, knowing that you had been basically running the show anyway for 10 years, was there a big gap or like any surprises when you know, officially became the owner?
There really wasn't. My husband's background has always been in sales. So he worked for a large distributor before being a salesperson for a large liquor distributor. And so he's seen all the angles and how the deals work and how basically the moving parts go. For me, I have the exact opposite. I'm learning all the marketing myself because I do it all except for the amazing work that you guys do for us. So it has been an uphill battle for me, but nothing really changed for us, I don't think, except for the stress of knowing that, you know,
Now it's on you.
when I write that payroll paycheck, it's coming out of my account. It's not
Right.
coming out of Uncle Stan's account where he was just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. And we were very fortunate that leading up to the acquisition, he would let us try things and not everything works. And so you try things and you give it a go. And we started with the Toyota Way. Are you familiar with this
tell me
book?
about that.
So it's a book basically, I can't think of who it's written by right now, but it's talking about the whole Toyota like car system and about how they had gone into their factory and they were figuring out that their processes weren't really working. Like somebody had given them a car to do specs on and they lost the car
Oh, right.
in the warehouse. And so we all read the Toyota Way and we basically took bits and pieces out of it to make it work down for our, dozen people that work there. There's 10 of us that work there, just to give people a perspective, including myself and my husband. So there's no like, hey, I'm not doing that. If the bathroom's dirty, guess what? I'm there too.
Right.
So the Toyota Way basically gave us like core values that we all agreed to, and we figured out what they were without putting in any particular order. None is bigger than the other. But one of the main things about it is we ask why 5 times till you get to the answer. There's no like, this is just the way we've always done it. Nobody can say that. I can't say that. Mike can't say that. If you were to ask, we'd, ask, well, why do you do it this way? Well, why didn't you do it that way? Or how come we're not doing it this way? Well, we've already tried to do it that way. And we're open to ideas. If we can think that it's going to be smarter, not harder, let's take the path of least resistance.
Yeah. Has anything noteworthy come from that? Like, because I'm fascinated with that. It's interesting because we're in a big like process stage right now at Ascent. Like, trying to get the processes dialed. Because
Sure.
the first few years, we're just like, yeah, we'll make it happen, and you do that, and and like no organization, no SOPs, like everything was just kind of, instinct, I guess I'd call
What's
it.
SOP?
Standard operating procedure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. processes though.
All right.
But like the why, the why you do things. So I'm curious when you've started asking those, like, has there been any meaning? Have you anything stand out in your mind about a change that has happened when people start asking why multiple times?
Over the years, a billion different ways. I mean, even down to like stocking the floor stacks. Like people think that, oh, we're just going to fill it up. Well, we have a process behind everything. Like we got scanners in so we don't have to manually write things down and then go to the computer and look things up. Like everything that we started a process has come to fruition that's worked for something else. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head recently that we tried that just bombed, like there's a learning curve for everything.
Always. Yeah. How do you think, because one of the things I'm fascinated with, and now I understand a little bit more too, especially knowing you've been there 16 years, your husband's been there 14 or however many, but I mean, you're tenured. You've seen a few things. And I granted, I don't know the liquor, retail liquor industry in depth by any means, but my assumption would be that it's a relatively high turnover, probably like most retail spaces in terms of like average employee length and turnover and things like that. But you guys have, and maybe you could tell me a little bit more the details, but from my perception, it seems like the core crew has been there for as long as I can remember. I mean, years. And you also have this, like, I don't know, you can feel the culture of the people. And I think you got a great location, you got a great brand, like obviously there's all these good things.
I differ on the great location part.
Fair. But you guys have become known as like the liquor store in Durango. And that's something because, I mean, it's crazy competitive.
It's crazy competitive, but we've worked very hard to get here.
What do you think has been the biggest difference from a like culture employee perspective?
We listen to the employees and we put the people first. So it's not a matter of, not even just in our building, our people first. We don't sell shots. We haven't sold little 50 mLs for, I think, coming up on 3 years now. And it wasn't just a matter of not having to deal with, let's say, a certain clientele that would just, come up with a handful of change. If you walk around the store, there's not shots everywhere. Like it's cleaned up the immediate vicinity of places. It's cleaned up the clientele, basically. I'm not saying that. I don't know how else to say that. I guess sometimes it costs you money to do the right thing.
So I'm fascinated about that. Tell me more. If you'll be interested to know that literally today, Ryan and I, we walk for our one-on-ones. We just get out of the office and walk. We call it a walk and talk.
Sure.
But we were walking back and a certain demographic today asked us if
you would buy them booze.
Come buy a shot. And, we politely said no. But I'm interested in that, in learning more about that decision and the impact of that. And even in just to apply it like in business in general. But you have a product that I would assume is profitable, moderately high volume of sales, I'm trying to think.
64,000 shots a year we were selling.
If that's the number, 64,000 individual
50
shots.
ml shots.
And somehow you decided to stop offering that.
It wasn't our idea originally. The police department came to us and asked, hey, like every alcohol related interaction that we have, 50 mLs are in the car for DUIs, for domestic issues. And they asked us if we would even contemplate not selling them anymore. And we were like, if you think that it's going to make a big difference and you can show us some stats that are actually going to like back up what you're hoping for.
Like from a societal perspective, not business, just like.
Just in our community.
Right.
And so we were like, yeah, we'll give it a go. And they said, well, we're going to go talk to all the other liquor stores in town. And we talked to a couple of them and they were like, oh yeah, absolutely. We'll do it. If Star's going to do it, we're going to do it. And then when it came down to it, nobody else did.
Of course.
Not a single person.
But you did.
We did. And we stuck with it. And the former chief of police came back in and he gave us the stats. And we were like, you know what? It's good. Obviously, it's going to cost us money. And it's not, $5 a week. It's a lot more than
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's got to be, don't give me, but I mean, that's got to be $100,000 a year at least.
No, it wouldn't quite. I mean, you're talking, 99 cents at a shot.
Okay.
So
But still,
yeah, I mean,
65,000.
a lot of them. So we just decided that we're just not going to do it. The only shots that you can actually get in the store are Don Julio 1942. It's $15.99 for a shot.
So it's cost prohibitive.
And people aren't throwing them out the window.
Right.
And you're probably not going to go out and get hammered on 15 shots when you could buy the whole bottle for less money.
Yeah.
So it just made more sense to just stop getting rid of the 99s and all the cheap shots in town. And
was that a hard decision to make?
in the beginning, we talked about it, and Stan was still here, or Stan's still in the background. Obviously, even though he wasn't here, we talked to him every week. And so he was like, well, if you think that there's some other way that we can make it up, let's try it. We're all about trying new things. And that was one of them that just kind of stuck. We've thought about bringing them back, but then again, we don't want to be that people that, you have to go up and clean up after.
Right.
Like people would come in and they'd say, I clean up the roads on 250 and all these airplane bottles are everywhere because they leave us and then they chuck them out the window.
Right.
And so it's cleaned up the immediate area. I haven't spoken to the cops to see actually
like
what's
if it's
happening.
Changed. Yeah.
Sure.
Has it changed the, I don't know how to explain it, but maybe like the atmosphere of the store, or because I'm sure you brought it up, but it's got to at least look cleaner.
I can say that a ton of people came in and were bringing us cookies and bringing us all these things because they were like, we're so thankful that you've done this, that we gained a ton of customers. So it seems like the volume of the new customers, what they're bringing in, countered out the $3, $4 here.
Right.
If you're coming in and you're about to spend $1,000 on 12 bottles of wine, you really don't want to sit in line behind somebody who's just sitting here counting change.
Right.
And it's made a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating. And then, so talk to me then more about like the culture, because I've noticed that, again, I don't see everything obviously, but
Sure.
we're neighbors enough that I see some stuff, and
Yeah.
I get to see some videos and, some cool stuff like that. But it seems like everybody really genuinely, for the most part, enjoys working there, and like there's good camaraderie, and there's just a good. Plus, I should have prepped this before. Last year at the Durango Rocks, what was the award?
It was for Small Business of the Year.
And you won it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Making me question my sanity. Yeah. So you won Small Business of the Year last year, which I think was also really cool.
The funny part is the year before we were up for Business of the Year, and we got beat out by, I think it was like one of the nurseries. And we're like, how many people do you think work at our store? And they're like, I don't know, like 30 or 40.
big,
And I
yeah.
was like, there's 12 of us. There's literally 12. Like we should have been in the small business category to start.
Right.
But people just assume since the store's big that we must have this massive staff.
Yeah.
Because we're always there. And like if there's a line, somebody's coming, and we all have radios. So like if somebody can help somebody else while somebody else is at the counter, then we can all we are actually a team.
Talk to me about that. Like, is that a formal thing that you guys have put into place? Has that happened organically because of the people?
That is due to Stan's leadership to start. I would say that Stan would be Mike's mentor. Like he taught him to listen more, which was very frustrating for me because I'm like, are you listening to me or are you just ignoring me? And he's like, no, I'm taking the time to think about what you're saying. And I'm like, okay, fine. So it took some time for us to get into this mode. And so we call Mike the coach.
Love it.
And he is like the operations guy. Nick is like our receiving guy, and he is definitely like the fun guy.
Yeah.
Like he keeps everybody grounded. I don't hug people with my words, so I'm more of the back of the house kind of girl. So it's like we all have a role and we make people have ownership. So if you're the guy that's getting stuff together for the events and it's messed up, well, it's you that's messed up.
Right.
And we have so many incentives that are set up. So like if you take care of your people, they're going to take care of you. We have inventory bonuses that we give out a few times a quarter. We have what we call a guild bonus. So all the things that are in the store that have yellow tags, we buy collectively as the Wine and Spirits Guild of America. There's 36 stores in the whole country. And so we have the opportunity to buy these things. And so to incentivize our staff, we let them know like, hey, the more of these yellow tag stuff that we sell, the more money that's going into your pockets. And we do like birthday stuff and Christmas and Thanksgiving. And so there's always something involved to get everybody involved.
Yeah. Which I think is just it's so cool. And it's interesting because we're about a similar like team size wise, 10 to, I think we have 9
Sure.
full time,
Including you.
Yeah. Including me. And it's a good balance because when everybody's like, when we're working well together, we're cranking, like it's
Sure.
small enough that it's also though small enough that when there's conflict, it can feel like the whole thing, the whole train's off the tracks.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Have you, how often, so 12 you said, right? Full time, 10 to 12?
10 of us.
Yeah. 10.
Yeah. One part-time.
When's the last time you hired?
Our newest guy we hired maybe like 6 months ago, but he's the only part-time person.
Okay.
And then before that, we hired 2 people during COVID.
Okay. So
And so everybody else has been there for 8 years up.
Yeah. Now it's 2026 and you haven't had to, except for your part-time from 6 months ago, you haven't had to hire anybody in 6 years.
Right. Yeah. We had an ex-FBI agent working for us for a while. He was there for probably 3 years, but he's retired, so his father has got Alzheimer's and he has some things, so he couldn't commit to as much as he would like. But we keep Andy around for fun.
You got to teach me more about it because it's cool. It's remarkable. Like to keep the team you have that long. Like I'm envious. I would love. I'm hiring right now. Like we're.
I'm too busy, Ben. I'm sorry.
To go, years without having to hire is like the dream.
It is.
And so I'm picking up on like the incentives. Obviously, some of the is there growth trajectory. Like what else do you think is contributing to? I mean, do you pay them a ton of money? Like, what else do you think is?
A lot of it is we incentivize. So if you want to go learn something else, we will pay for that. When you finish like a wine class, we pay for all the wine so you can do your tastings with it. Natan's he's our wine manager. I think he's about to get his level 3. Wine education, which is pretty remarkable to do it as fast as he's done it.
Yeah.
Nick and I both have our W sets in spirits. Mike, before he came to us, had a ton of training. So if you want to do more, we want you to do more. Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. The personal, professional development stuff.
Yes.
Because what do they say? You've got to either be learning, earning, or there's a third. But like to stay in a job, like generally speaking, people need to feel some
ownership,
movement. Yeah. Like some that, and it sounds like a lot of it is happening from a learning or personal development perspective too, which is really cool. I actually honestly had no idea that there was that much room for personal development in that space.
And we try to hire for talent. Like we kind of prefer that you've never worked in the booze business just so you don't have any bad habits. And we don't hire people directly that just turned 21.
Right.
Because you're probably going to bring your friends in and That's the other thing with our inventory bonuses. So everybody's got an eye out. So if they see somebody that looks like they're looking a little shady, we're all paying attention, because when somebody steals something,
It's
that's
out of
coming out of
everyone's.
everybody's
So
pocket.
you've got this like collective shared invest. I don't know, like
Yes, investment.
yeah,
Yep.
everybody's gonna benefit when
Hmm.
the company does great. Everybody's gonna do better.
Yes.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Have you made any changes from an employment perspective when you took over
Not at all.
ownership,
Nope.
or it's just rocking and rolling?
The only thing that we changed was the name on the business on the back end.
That's it.
Yep. I
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Was it scary? Like, and I know you talked a little bit about, now when you run payroll, it's coming out of your account. But I mean, did you have fear at all with,
I didn't.
purchasing it and taking that risk?
The best part about it is we have so many amazing people on staff that I know that they've taken care of us for this long, that they're in it to win it with we are. So we are too.
Right.
And our eventual plan is to make it an employee-based company.
Love that.
Yeah.
I just saw Shaw Solar just did that. They're now employee owned.
Yeah.
And I had, because I know you're a huge listener of the show. So, but Carrie Siggins was on a while back. She's the CEO of Stone Age. And
Okay.
she wrote a book called, I have it over there. Anyway, it's about employee ownership. And now I forget what the exact title of the book is, but
Sure.
if you're interested, it's a great conversation about employee ownership.
Yeah.
Because I think I relate a lot to that. Like I've started at Ascent. We do new sale bonuses and we do unlimited PTO, and I'm learning as I go with
Sure.
these things, but I'm doing everything I can think of to I tell the team all the time. I'm sound like a broken record, but I'm like, rising tides lift all ships. Like the better we do, the better we're all gonna do.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out that because there's something powerful about when everybody's invested and headed in the same direction. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Everybody celebrates with the same wins, and there's that. It's a deeper level of camaraderie, I think, that
I think so.
happens.
And we have such a diverse crowd. Like, we have like an introvert, we have an outrovert, we've got a numbers person, we've got artistic people, we've got, like a previous electrician and did maintenance for things. And so everybody has a role. Obviously, they don't do the same thing. I'm not changing a breaker out. I mean, I can, do all the heavy manual stuff, but
You're busy
like,
hauling in boxes.
yeah, I was like, I'm not screwing with any of the electrical stuff. And then we've got, there's another couple that actually works for us. Evan and Teresa are married, and they have actually worked together before. And we were like, is this going to work out? And she was one of the people we hired during COVID. And she goes, well, if it doesn't, then I'll just leave, because Evan was here first and I'll find something else to do.
Like easy peasy.
Yeah, and Evan does like the warehouse stuff and, gets everything organized for the deliveries. And Teresa is hilarious, and she does all the buying for all the party section. And so she's like really detail oriented, and that was one of the things I also did. So I was very thankful that somebody else wanted to do it, because you're just flipping through catalogs and trying to read people's minds. So like, oh, are they
What are
going
they
to want to
gonna
buy
want?
this? Like, I don't know. And she tries everything. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, and there's not a lot of inventory tied up in it. So obviously she's like, oh man, I feel bad. I bought these so long ago and they're not selling. And we're like, you tried. Like, that's what it is.
I think that contributes to culture too, is like an environment where you can take risk and try things in a safe way.
Yeah.
Like if because we deal with that a lot here. A lot of the people I work with are creatives.
Sure.
And creative, it's so subjective. Like I have no idea how this is going to go, like
Right.
from an actual performance perspective, but trying to figure out that balance of like taking risk, ownership, like you had mentioned, which is huge, but not like catastrophic where if it fails,
Right.
then all of a sudden like you're in trouble or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's like,
I mean, I'm not going to have, one of my night guys go buy a barrel of whiskey
Right.
that doesn't know anything about it, because that's obviously monetarily, going
more significant.
significant. I mean, and we've had stuff that we've bought that bombed, and you just have to sit on it and like hope for the best and just dwindle it down. And I mean,
Cross your fingers.
Unfortunately, it was pretty recent that we bought something that just bombed, and all of us hate it.
What's
Not
that?
hate it, but like it's
Hate
not what we thought it was going to be.
the product or the fact that it bombed?
The product.
The product.
The product we thought was going to be amazing, and we didn't taste it first like we always do, but for some reason we didn't taste this one, and then it came in and we were all like, ugh.
And then it's hard to sell it.
Yeah, and so we have to come up with a different spin to sell it, and it is selling. I'm obviously not going to talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell me the name of it. What's it? No, but
Yeah, but like you win some, you lose some.
what does that look like from a, because business is always risk and reward. At a store like yours with the volume of inventory you have, and it sounds like you obviously have multiple buyers that are, specializing in different departments or categories. But talk to me a little bit about, from the business owner perspective, like how risky some of these decisions are. Like, are you, like, I don't know, when you're weighing the pros and cons, how bad could it get if something flops versus if it does great? Like, how big's that delta?
It's not huge, only because we've been in it for so long and we've seen how things have gone over the years. And again, like Stan was so into like letting us try things, whether, we thought that it was going to work, and we're like, well, if we think that we do it this, then this might be really great. And 90% of them went really well.
Right.
So having somebody that believed in us enough to give us the opportunity to try these things. Like, we bought new software last June. So we've had it a year now. And yes, it was an investment in the company. And one of the things Stan talked about before he left, he was like, well, what would be the biggest impact for you to be the most successful moving forward? And we were like, we need a new point of sale. Like, the one that we had before was like a dinosaur, and
It was dated.
we were doing like a workaround for a workaround for a workaround,
Right.
and it just wasn't working. And so we got this AI intuitive software, and everybody was kind of freaking out about it because the old way was really easy. It was really easy. Liquor POS came out in, I think, like the 80s or something, and they haven't done any updates in 10 years. So it just wasn't working for the volume that we were doing. And now that we have this AI software, like, it's learning as we go. So we're not in any situation where that we would do some, even if it said like, hey, you should buy X amount of this because you've been selling it like this. Mike does enough math that he's like, well, that one might be bullshit. And yeah. So, I mean, obviously everybody's worried, oh, AI is going to take my job. Well, AI can't do everything.
Right.
And it's not that right all the time. So, like, you still have to pay attention and be aware of what the information you're getting. Because
Right.
I'm sure you've chat GTP something and you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't even make any sense.
That doesn't add up. That doesn't seem right. Has your role, well, maybe it's a two-part question, but ever since you became the owner, has your day-to-day changed in the business? And then I think a follow-up to it would be more of like your relationship with it, like the way you approach the business, or how you handle certain decisions.
It really hasn't changed that much. I mean, other than like people asking me to do a podcast, and then I have an interview on Wednesday for something else. And back in February, I got asked to speak to the Durango Women's Leadership Conference, and I was like, "Do you sure you're talking about me?" Like, it was just different opportunities that have arisen. And with being a high-profile store, my husband's also on the chamber of, for Durango. And then he started out as the treasurer, and now all of a sudden he's like the vice president or something. But like, it's just things that people have been throwing at us. I'm better at saying no than he is. So it's just been a different scenario. Like, the business part really hasn't changed that much.
But everything else
outside the business has changed.
Do you like that, or has that been uncomfortable?
It's just different. People, I think, I'm kind of more brunt in my speech. I guess that's a good way to put it. So people will come up, oh, well, yeah, I know you. And I'm like, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. I have no idea. And they just think that just because they know the business that they know who we are.
Yeah.
And I'm not like that. So
Right.
I have a tendency to be like, no, so you are who? Like, and I suck with names. So my husband remembers everything.
Yeah.
And it's super annoying because he'll like, oh, Ben, well, how's your kids doing today? How's so and so?
And just
And I'm
remember
like,
all the
what?
details and everything.
Yeah.
So I have it even worse than that. I'm great with faces, but I'm bad with names.
Ah.
So I know I'm supposed to know them, but I don't remember like from where or what. You know what I mean? Especially for me if it's out of context. Like if I
Sure.
see somebody at the same place over and over again, like
Right.
school pickup or the baseball field, whatever. But then I'll see somebody that I know like at the bank,
Sure.
some new context, and I'm like, I know that person, and I can't even like I get all flustered.
The weird thing for me this past summer, so we got Best of Durango for the 13th year in a row, and they put me on the cover of the magazine. And so many people come in and they're like, you look really familiar. And I'm like, well, I worked at Purgatory for 20 years, checking tickets for
Maybe it was
16 of
that.
those. And they're like, no, that's not it. And I'm like, well, I've worked at Star for 16 years. No, that's not it. I'm like, well, we're in the store right now. So I'm like, I don't really know. And then they're like, were you? And I'm like, I was on the cover of the Best of magazine. Yeah, that's it. And
How
I'm
many
like,
people get to say they were on the cover of a magazine?
it's
though?
just
I mean, it's pretty cool.
it's annoying though.
Plus 13 years in a row of best of.
13 years
That's
in a
what
row
I'm
is
trying
pretty
to
amazing.
Get at is it's like not only have you have this high level of, I'm just going to call it success, but of I mean, obviously if the customers are, and that's a community voted on
Yes.
award, you've got the longevity with your employees and the culture, and like even your own journey there, I think is really like, did you have any idea when it, now that you have the benefit of hindsight, you get to look back, and obviously the path got you to where you were.
Sure.
But if you could skip all that and, think about 16 years ago when you were the night crew,
Mopping the
did you
floors.
ever imagine like that? Cause have you ever like taken that minute and like thought about the evolution there and how wild that is?
Oh, absolutely.
And now you own it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously when I first started, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to own this liquor store one day. Yeah. I mean, I have an art degree that I'm currently kind of not using, but kind of using
little bit,
also.
yeah.
But I never, that wasn't the path that I was thinking of. And then 10 years ago, when Stan was starting to pull away, Mike was like, I think we might be able to buy this place eventually. The fortunate thing for us is both of his kids don't live here, and they both live in Texas. His son was a retired firefighter, and his daughter was in graphic design. She's a teacher now, and she was always too scared to screw up her dad's business. She was like, I don't want to throw off his legacy.
Too
This
scared.
was his baby.
Right.
And so she never was really into it either. So Mike and I were the ones that were there and like stepped up and did all the things that needed to make the place run without him being there. So,
Right.
it was probably 10 years ago when we started like really talking about it, and then COVID and then it's a long process. I mean, just the paperwork alone is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. Has it changed, without specifics, obviously, but like I would imagine you guys were doing well, for the husband and wife to have worked at the, for 50, like obviously it was a good job is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Is the leap from that to ownership significant, or like, is it, I'm just curious if like I guess I'm just personally interested on a few levels is like how you did it. And again, not details, but
Sure.
from is he financing it? Did you guys get a loan? Did you save up? Like how?
All
and
of those
then
things.
Is there, okay, cool. Okay, tell me more about that. But then also like there's obviously an upside because you're taking so much risk
Yes.
in purchasing it.
Mhm.
And did you have any idea what that would look like until?
It was a massive emotional roller coaster because Stan had gotten the business evaluated probably 5 or 6 years before COVID. And so like it was X amount then. And then obviously we had it was here and then it went to here
Yeah.
for COVID. And then we were like, okay, well, it's dropping back. And then wine went into the grocery store. Well, beer went into the grocery store first, and then wine went into the grocery store. And so that took a big hit. And then weed became legal. So we took that hit too.
Right.
But we were always in the mix of knowing what was coming next. So instead of being reactive to it, we were already planning our next steps. So like, okay, so if this does pass, this is what we're going to
Here's
do
how we'll
next.
handle it.
And this is what we're going to do next for the next step. And unfortunately, a lot of the other places in town knew it was coming, but they thought that maybe, like some miracle or something was going to happen. So they weren't planning for it.
Right.
So they felt like they were blindsided by it. And we were like, they were talking about it for 3 years.
Right.
Like for 3 years they were talking about it. So for you to act like, oh my God, we're all upside down now, like that's on you.
Yeah. How do you balance that? Like because you're in an industry that's heavily regulated, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You're at the mercy of whatever new
Tariffs, you name
whatever new thing's going to come up and all that. Like I have this constant in my business. Best way I can explain it, and this is maybe not the best thing, but I always try to have this perspective of like elevating my rock bottom, like
Okay.
making my worst case scenario slightly less bad than it used to be.
Okay.
Like I at least have this, or we could diversify with that, or like,
Sure.
it helps me balance the fear of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found that if I'm operating my business out of fear, I'm not doing a good job.
No.
If I'm operating my business with like forward vision and evolution and optimism and ambition and like confidence, it works, but it requires that like lifting your head to the horizon, like
Yeah.
out of what we're doing today, but like, what does the end of the year look like? Like, what does next year look like? Those things like that. And so I'm curious.
It's the whole forest and the trees situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing like, how do you tackle that as I was going to say as a leader, but as the owner, as a leader, because it's so constant, I'll call it external threats, like
Sure.
a new change or a new thing. What's your mindset like when you're now driving the business forward?
It's exactly like it was before. So we always are trying to think those 3 steps ahead instead of just the next step ahead. When wine went into the grocery stores, we took the biggest hit because there's so many people that have second and third homes here that when they come to town, they got to get groceries. And they're like, oh, I can get groceries and my wine here and my beer here at the same time. And you got kids in the car screaming.
Right.
And so like we lost pretty much most of the tourism. I mean, obviously with our marketing stuff that we've done with you guys, we're out there more. So like if you Google best liquor store in Durango, we come up first, and we're doing all the things to put us at the top of everybody's mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to, anyway.
Right. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about running. So I know it's like a hard segue, but it's been cool. So I got to see you like midway through your first half marathon. Was that last year?
That was the
2 years.
Thirsty 13 last year. Last August.
Yeah. And now you're running your second ever half marathon this Saturday.
Race ever.
Yeah.
Like I never did. My nephew who ran cross country all through high school and college, and I was like, hey Josh, I signed up for my first race. And he goes, what is it? And I said, a half marathon. And he goes, straight faced, he goes, they make shorter races, right? And I won't repeat what I said to him, but it was more like, shut up. But it was a little more flagrant than that.
This is a safe space. But,
Yeah.
What made you start running?
I've been running for a long time, but never like, I was just running for me. I remember turning 40 and I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to ride a race, and I don't need to learn how to ride switch on my snowboard. I'm proficient at both. I'm good. And I turned 50 and am I allowed to cuss?
Yes.
I was like, fuck you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I taught myself to ride switch in January of last year. The year before, excuse me, because this past winter sucked.
Yeah.
I decided I was like, I'm going to do my first race. I'm going to sign up for, this. I signed up for the Steamworks half marathon. Was the first race I signed up for. And I trained from January to May, and I hurt my hip like 2 weeks before the race. Like I thought I tore something. And so I pulled out of the race and I was like, just hold my spot. And I was really bummed because I was like, I want to do it in my 50th year, and my birthday's in August. And so the Thirsty 13 was like August 15th or something. So I was like, damn it, I just missed it. And Mike was like, but you just ran a half marathon.
At 51.
At 51. Like,
okay. I didn't realize the bigger picture there. You got to let me in your mind a little bit, because I think that's really, really neat that, and I don't know if that was like an evolution, but it sounds like there was multiple, not just the running and not just riding switch or whatever, but it sounds like there was kind of a multiple, like, there was this moment where you're like, I'm going to continue to evolve and grow and learn new things.
A lot of meditation.
But was it meditation?
A lot of meditation.
Like for real meditation?
Like for real meditation.
Have you always meditated? Is that a new practice?
I started doing it probably, let's see, Stan was still here. I used to go to a group meditation with him and his wife once a week for a bunch of years. I can't remember how many years it was, but it literally changed my life.
Wow.
I had a toxic brother situation. I had a very small family. My dad died when he was 54. My mother died when she was 64. My brother and I were never really on speaking terms. And then when my mom died, it just went left, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But that was the last time I spoke to him. He was like screaming at me, and my husband walked in. He was like, "Who are you talking to?" And I was like, "Nobody." And I never talked to him ever again.
Wow.
So I was like, I can't live my life like this.
Yeah.
And so I started meditating, and it was really a game changer.
And one of the takeaways from meditation was
that I can do hard things, and I can get past things, and I can get through things, and I can do it myself, and I don't need you to tell me that I can do it, and I don't need to wait for somebody to tell me I can do it.
You can just go do it.
I can just do it.
And what was and that presented itself obviously in running a race, evolution with
a lot of meditating and running.
Lots. We were talking about it off camera. I've been injured for over a year now, and running is my happy place. Like I do it for my mental health, honestly, way more than my physical health or anything.
Totally.
And I'm getting desperate. Like I've got to start, right? I'm still exercising plenty, and like I'm managing, just fine. But there's something about just running.
You don't need anything. Nobody needs you at that time. It's your time. You're not like going to pick kids up from school, or you're going to have to go do this, or go do payroll or whatever. Like it's your time.
Yep. You're just going.
Yeah.
What did it feel like after you finished the first half?
I was obviously proud, because like the training that goes into it. I'm at this last week that I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking glad that it's almost over. Yeah, I was like, I'm so over it.
Now you celebrate on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I ran 10 miles on Saturday, and I was just like, good, this is the last big run. Like I can get it over with, and then I get to work, and they're like, we got 6 pallets out back. Let's do it. And I'm like,
no rest for
I mean, we knew it was coming, but like just to start your day, like, it's not like you're going out there to stretch first. You're just basically like cutting boxes open and then just going.
Yeah.
So it's not like a running thing. It's more of a physical exertion.
Right. Not quite as meditative.
Not even
Is
slightly.
Meditating still a part of your daily? How are you still meditating?
Daily.
Daily.
Yeah.
And now it's on your own, or are you still doing the group stuff?
I haven't done the group stuff. I've gone to the Dharma Center a few times. I tried to get my husband to go because he could use it a lot more than I could, I think. But just pretty recently, it was like one thing after another, like financially. Like our car blew up, and we were, for my husband's birthday, we found out, they were like, oh, it's going to cost you $13,000 to fix it. And we're like, it's only worth $13,000. You can keep this car. And then it was like 3 other things. And I was like, you know what? If I wasn't meditating, I would have freaked out.
Yeah.
And when they told me what it was going to cost us to fix it, and I was like, you know what? Whatever.
All good.
There's, freaking out about it. It's not going to make it cheaper. It's not going to fix the car. Yes, we have a new car that we have leased now. Yes, I have another car payment that I was not ready for.
Yeah.
But like our retaining wall fell at our house last year, right before we're starting the financing for the business.
Of course.
Like literally like a month before. Guess what? That retaining wall is still down.
Right.
Because you're not going to go get a business loan if you have to take out a loan for your house.
Right.
And our homeowner's insurance told us to get bent because the only way they cover dirt movement is with earthquake insurance.
Oh.
Because you need that in Durango.
Course. Yeah, of course.
But now, like, we finally have a bid out, and we're gonna it's in the process. They
It's
haven't
happening.
started the work, but I'm like, oh my god! And it was better than I could have expected for the outcome to be. And so it's just that part has helped me like deal with my day-to-day stress.
Yeah.
Without like freaking out about it. Because if we're freaked out, like my husband is more of an internal. Like if I'm freaked out, it's coming out my mouth. Like I'm hungry, I'm pissed, I'm tired. Like
everybody's gonna know about it.
Yeah, everybody knows. Mike will just internalize it. I'm like, you know what? When you shut down, everybody notices. And everybody's running around trying to make things better for you because they know how stressed you are. And
Because even though you're not saying it, they can sense it.
Everybody knows because he's Mike and he just kind of clambers out and he kind of zones out. And we're all like, what can we do to help you? And he says that to me, but I'm like, are you going to sit at my desk and build some posts for later?
Right.
Or do you want to do the bookkeeping? And I know you don't want to do that. Except he's better at numbers than I am. So it's a weird juxtaposition. The two
Isn't
of us
that interesting though? Like I found there's like this. Somebody told me the other day, and it's really resonating with me, that my business growth is going to be limited by my personal growth.
Absolutely.
Like the level at which I'm willing to grow as a human being reflects where the business is headed. And it's weird, like for me, like I get uncomfortable about stuff like that. Like I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, kind of, I don't know if braggy's the right word or whatever.
I was like, it's not an ego thing.
But it's like, what I'm learning is it's not necessarily, it's not an ego thing. It's an evolution thing. Like I'm having to learn all these weaknesses about me or like these insecurities about me that as I fix, then get reflected in the business. And it's fascinating how it happens. And like when I'm all stressed out or freaking out, the whole team can feel it. Nobody's doing right. Like, nothing's going as good as it can be. But if I'm the best version of myself, then I show up for my team the best way possible, for my clients the best way possible.
Yeah.
And you can just like feel it. I don't know how to explain it other than that you can just sense it. Like, and that's a heavy, crown to wear, that like, depending on how good we are, the business is, and at the same time, it's also this intensely stressful obligation.
Right.
We've got not only our own families to feed, but 9 others, and
and their kids, and
so it's this balance of like, and that's why I think meditating and running and like the self-care stuff is so critical, really, for everybody.
It is,
but it's like. They conflict because it's like more stressful than another reality because of how much is relying on us showing up properly.
Sure.
And we have to show up the best possible, which means we can't be stressed. You know what I mean? It's like this balance thing. So, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. So I'm curious, like, how else do you manage it other than, or is that the main two?
That's for me, that's my main thing. Bless you.
There it is. I'm back.
I'm usually like a 3 to 5er. But I think that we've gone to great lengths to have the right people in place to do the things that they can do to help the whole part of the business instead of just like one aspect of it. Like Nick is our go-to guy. He's got an accounting degree.
Right.
So he does all the receiving. And Nathan is our wine buyer, but he also has like a photographic memory. So like if you tell him something once, he'll remember it 10 a year later. And you're like, holy hell, how did you remember that? And then so like we just have people in roles that we're encouraging them to be able to be more comfortable in the position. So we're basically like making it for Nick to take over Mike's spot. eventually.
Right.
And, everybody will make that slide, once we're done paying for the business, then it'll be like an employee-owned business.
Right.
And we'll be more like standard coaching instead of, like I'm your boss, like I'm not going to be there all the time.
Right.
So knowing that there's people in place to do like Teresa's doing all the buying of the party stuff, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And she's taken over some other things, and this person does that. So it's not all on us. So we're all invested in the same team.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's, I'll call it safety nets, but there's like that reassurance that, someone can have a bad day. Other people are going to have, it's like, there's the balance. Like if so-and-so's off today,
like Nick's been in Peru for 2 weeks,
which is great. You know, like what a great thing to go to travel and do and then come back.
And Nathan went to Italy for, and he got to go crush grapes and help people make wine. And so, like, we want you to do well. And yes, if there's an opportunity that you can grow and do better for your family or whatever the situation is, we're going to encourage you to do it. Right. We're not going to, like, hold you back. We don't want to hold anybody back.
Right.
And we've always hired people. This is how Nick came to us. Nick was working at City Market in the deli. And Mike does all the grocery shopping. God bless him. And so I'm never in there. And so he met him behind the counter one day, and he was like, "You need to come work for me." And Nick was still in college. He went to the fort, and he hadn't graduated yet.
We went to school together.
Yeah. And he was like, "Well, I'm about to graduate, but I'm going to go to New Zealand and snowboard, for their season." And Mike's like, "Well, are you coming back?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Call me when you get back or show up." And he went to New Zealand, was gone for however long the season was, and he came back and he rolled in. And Mike basically, I don't even remember there actually being an interview. I think it was just kind of a half sit down, like, what's your situation? What do you want to do? And he's been with us for 10 years, probably.
Crazy. It's so cool.
It's pretty awesome. Like, Nick is our, like, what do you call him? Like a
protege.
I was thinking like what are those knives called?
Like a Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a multi-tool.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's really good with the people, and he's, he keeps everything lighthearted, and him and I have kind of the same upbringing. So it's interesting because Nathan's from Brazil, so he has a completely different cultural background. Nick had, parents that weren't there all the time, like mine weren't there all the time. And so we all have such diverse backgrounds. And so we've all kind of learned to, I know that there's stuff that we find out after they've been working for us forever. Teresa apparently was like a double dribbling champion and like did something at like a Nuggets game or something. And we were like, what? Like, how long have you been here? And we're just now finding this out. Right. So it's really cool that we're so different that it works.
Yeah. And it obviously makes for a really powerful combination. Like, yeah, the culture of it. Do you, I don't know if you guys set like formal goals, but I'm curious about if they are formal goals or even just, anecdotally, like what's on the horizon for you. And two parts, one, Star Liquor, like as the business, but also you as a person. Because one thing I know, and there's evidence to it because you're now running your second half marathon, that, there's this kind of like continual progression, I'll call it, or, growth. What does that look like? Like, because I think it's so cool that, again, coming back from being the night crew now to the owner.
Right.
And now here we are running half marathons, own it. I mean, like crazy growth and evolution. Any idea what the next 5-10 years look like?
We're putting our heads down and paying for this thing. Like that. Yeah. That's, like our main goal. We want to, obviously, I think we've had to fire like one person, but that was years ago. And it wasn't because, they just weren't working out. It was just like, that's just the way the business was. And we were getting slower and slower. And it was like after wine had gone into the grocery store, like we want to keep people.
Yeah.
And, nothing like closing on the first day of the first year of the slowest day of the month and the slowest quarter. Like we knew we weren't going to be making money.
Right.
Like we knew it ahead. But, the end of April, we were like, hey, it's getting a little dicey over here. So now that the road's open and that, Memorial Day has passed us, things are starting to tick up. But yeah, it was a little sweaty.
Experience the The upswings.
And there's like real estate taxes, and because we don't own the building, so everybody's got their hand out for real estate taxes and rent, and then
That
obviously we're
shocked me
paying
too on
we're
that.
paying
We were in
Stan.
that one together. Yeah.
That the whole two condo thing is kind of painful.
Yeah. Tamara, thank you so much. This has been it's been super fun. It's it's inspiring to watch like what you're building from a business perspective and the human that you're building along the way too. Like
Right.
I just think it's so neat to see the
And we
running
and we
and
never
the
needed to have kids because they're all our kids.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Your hands are plenty full as
Yes.
it is. Yeah. So I've got a gift for you.
Oh.
These are my Inspire by Example shirts.
Oh, cool.
And I want you to have them because you
Thank
really
you.
are. You're inspiring by example. I mean,
Oh, that's awesome.
all of the little things like going from a night crew to owner, or deciding at 50 that you're going to run a half marathon, or learn to ride switch or whatever. That being disciplined in meditating and just all these things. It's genuinely inspiring. And so I want to tell you thanks not only for sharing some of your knowledge and your wisdom with me today, but also just for living the way you are and for creating the culture that you're creating and the jobs that you guys are creating. And anyway, it's just really neat. So thank you for that on a much bigger level. And
Thank you for
just know
having
how
me.
much I appreciate it.
Thank you. This was, as I told you off camera, I was like, I've never even listened to a podcast. So to be asked to be in one, I was like, I don't know.
You
Let's
nailed
give
it.
it a go.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you crushed it.
That was cool.
Awesome.